Welcome back to the Prime Focus Goalkeeping channel. My name's Brandon Miller. I'm your host. And today we're going to talk about the 4 best tips for saving PKs. These are some of the toughest saves for goalkeepers to make. They're difficult situations. 12 yards away, no defenders. These are the situations built for strikers, built for field players to score. But we can foil these field players a lot of times by doing a few different things to raise the odds for us goalkeepers. So let's talk about that first tip. The first thing is playing a little bit of mind games. Game's so mental, all of it. Whether you're higher up the field, whether you're in the 18, it's all about the mental aspect of the game. So you'll see a lot of goalkeepers nowadays, specifically one like Emi Martinez. They like to walk up to the PK spot and they'll stand on the PK spot right when that whistle's blown for a PK, or they'll talk to the PK taker and they'll try and get in their head. There's different little things that you can do to try and work with a field player to get inside their head and kind of get them nervous and get them off their game. Some goalkeepers like to run around their goal line and slap on the goalpost and be loud and try and get in the field player's head. Some goalkeepers like to just stand off their lines, maybe stand on the 6 and delay it as long as possible. The longer you can make a field player wait, the more likely they are to get in their own head and make a mistake. Maybe they start to think, oh, should I go to this side or go to that side? And then maybe they end up shanking it. Playing little mind games like that can get into a field player's head and kind of throw them off their game. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2, we're talking about being patient. The biggest problem we see with a lot of goalkeepers is they get so amped up, they get so excited, and as that field player is running up to the ball, they start to dive one way or the other because they want to guess, they want to get there early. Especially for our younger ages, you have to realize you're not playing against Messi. You're not playing against a top-class player that's going to find the bottom corner, find the top corner, put it off the post and in every single time. The likelihood of them finding those corners is a lot less at the younger ages. As you get older and players start to get more accurate and have better control of the ball, yeah, that's when players start to find the bottom corners and we have to get better push, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But for right now, it's being patient. A lot of times you'll see different run-ups where players will go fast and then they'll slow it down. And if you're going early, they're waiting for you to move so that they can see you dive to the left and them simply just pass it to the other side. So you got to be patient. Stand in that goal, hold your position as long as possible, and right when that ball's about to be struck, right when that field player's going, can we pick our side and dive? So being patient can throw that field player off, especially if they're waiting for you to make a decision, and you don't make a decision. Now they're in their own head, like, which side should I go to? 1, let's play some mind games. 2, let's be patient. Be as patient as possible, wait to the very last second. Our third tip, which we just spoke about a little bit, is how do we get a good push from one side or the other? A lot of times goalkeepers want to choose one side or the other. You can choose to stay in the middle. Statistically speaking, that may not be the best choice, but you can stay in the middle and try to react to this. But like I said, at the younger age groups, that may work. You standing in the middle and hopefully they don't quite get it into the corner and you can be able to react one side or the other. But as you get older, that's when you have to start picking a side and making a decision. Hey, I'm going to dive to my left, so I've got to get a good step and a push. A lot of times goalkeepers, especially when they're a little too patient, are patient, and then they end up just falling down to their side and they're not getting to balls that are in that corner because they're not getting a good step and a push. So when you're on your line, your goalkeeper's set, you've got to be able to step and explode to where you can at least get close to that corner. You don't have to cover the entire goal. It's 12 yards away. We don't have a lot of time, especially with a lot of the pace that these field players are hitting the ball at, but we've got to get a good push. So when you make that decision to go one side or the other, make the decision and don't hesitate. Step and push and explode towards that corner. These are not statistically, these aren't high percentage saves for goalkeepers. But if we can get a good push, we can start to make decisions that can benefit us and we can explode towards those corners and make more saves. Remember, playing the mind games. 1, 2, being patient. But 3, once you've made that decision, commit to that decision and get a good push towards that corner. Our last tip that we want to talk about, maybe one of our most important tips if you want to look at it that way, playing the percentages. One of it's about reading a run up. And if a field player is going straight on here and walks straight to a ball, just like this, it's going to be very difficult for them to open up that hip and play it to the goalkeeper's left side. So looking at a run up can be helpful, but oftentimes field players are very smart with how they disguise their run. So they'll start this way and then they'll run out this way and then they'll go here, and maybe they end up putting it there, maybe they end up putting it there. Now, there's a lot of talk about reading the plant foot of the striker. What I need goalkeepers to understand is if you wait until right here to try and make your decision in your head of which side you're going to, by that time it's most likely too late. Especially when you get to the older levels where they're hitting the ball with a lot more pace, the reaction time is cut down significantly. Another problem with that, as a lot of the advice is wherever this plant toe is pointing is where they're going. Again, when you get to the older age groups, that's nowhere near the truth. So here we go. I'm gonna step in, I'm planting my foot here, and I can very easily go there. That's simple. And I'm not even a world-class striker. It's not that hard to disguise a strike. So if you're waiting on that plant foot, it's probably gonna be too late at that point. So what do I mean by playing the percentages? Well, if you look up statistics and they're ever changing as PK takers become more aggressive with where they go, they become a little bit smarter. Now it's not so much one side or the other, a lot of it's down the middle. How are statistics taken? There's a lot to talk about. But typically, a right footer coming here, coming across their body and going into the goalkeeper's right, the field player's left, statistically is a higher percentage than going the other way. Statistically, that's just where a lot of field players go. Is that something you want to factor in? It can be, but it's more so for when you're doing a PK shootout. You're taking 5 PKs. Statistically speaking, if you dive to the same side every single time, you're more likely to see a strike. You're more likely to be correct on which side the field player is going more often, as opposed to just guessing on each field player. Let's recap. Playing mind games, whatever it may be, delaying, going to talk to the striker, making yourself big and being loud in goal. That can be a benefit for a lot of goalkeepers to kind of throw that field player off. Second one is being patient. Don't leave too early. Don't just dive halfway into a field player's run. Wait as long as you can to dive to one side or the other. But once you choose that side, 3, you've got to commit to it. You've got to get a good push. You've got to be able to cover a large portion of that side and not just fall down to the side. And 4, if you want to throw in some statistics there, you can think about playing the odds. What side do most right footers go to? What side do most left footers go to? In a PK shootout, what side should I dive to every single time so I'll most likely get at least 1 or 2 right? These are all aspects of taking a PK and dealing with a PK that can help you to make more saves consistently. So that's all we got for PKs. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Otherwise, subscribe to the channel and stay focused.